Hey, I just got in my truck. I'm getting ready to leave the church to go meet with somebody in the community who just needs some help. The title of this video is called Jesus or Judge. And that's a choice we have to make. We have to make that as individual Christians and as a church family. And as the pastor, we need to lead our people to be like Jesus, to see with the eyes of Christ, to speak with the words of Christ, and to love with the love of Christ, and not judge people, but meet them right where they are, to do the best that we can to serve them and love them in the name and in the love of Jesus Christ. But there's this attitude of judging people. There's this, I don't know, maybe this self-righteousness that whether people are worthy of helping or not. And we have this fund here at the church. It's called Fifth Sunday, and it's a benevolence fund. And so there's 4 Fifth Sundays in a calendar year. And so we take up a special offering, and then those funds are at really my discretion to help people inside the walls of the church, but more importantly, outside the walls of the church. It helps with rent and utilities and gasoline and maybe a hotel stay and food and diapers and really all kinds of needs. And so I'm going to meet a woman today, and she has a very specific need. And I can be Jesus and represent our church and meet her needs, or I can go and listen to her story and judge her and then decide whether I'm going to help her or not. Scripture speaks about loving and serving, and it talks about not judging others. And so as a Christian, as a pastor, as a church member, I choose to be Jesus and not choose to judge. So I want to tell you her story. And I've crossed paths with this young lady before, a couple months ago, kind of when her story really started to come about. She's a young woman. She's going through a divorce right now. She's got 3 kids under the age of 13. She works a part-time job. She's 3 classes away from getting her bachelor's. The marriage just fell apart. And I don't know all the details to why. She was raised in the church, and so she has some faith background. And when all that started to kind of unravel, she sought the church out for help, which was awesome and amazing and the thing to do. And so I was able to help her a couple months ago, but she called back, and a very specific need. And her need is, she has a job. It's a part-time job, but it's what she has right now. But it requires her to use her personal car to do her job. So a lot of driving, and her driver's license expired. And if she gets caught driving on expired license, that's grounds for termination. Then she'll have no income. So she called and said, until I get my next paycheck, I can't afford the $21 it's going to cost me to get a driver's license. And so absolutely, positively, without a doubt, I'm going to go meet her at the Driver's License Bureau and pay that and get her a valid driver's license so she doesn't lose her job. And I plan to have a faith conversation with her because I know she's open to that. I'm not going to judge her. I don't know the details of her divorce. I don't know the relationship between her and her husband. I don't know why she grew up in the church but made the decision to leave the church. I'm just going to meet her where she is and do the best that I can to represent Jesus and represent the church and not judge her. There's attitudes in the church, and I've seen it, where people say, no, you need to hear her story, and then you need to make the decision as to whether she's worthy to help. And I've seen it where, no, she's a divorced woman, we're not helping her. And I think attitudes like that just bring tears to Jesus' eyes, because Jesus sees this woman, a woman in need, in the church that can help her. There's another situation that happened in our church not too long ago. Same thing. Are we going to be Jesus, or are we going to be the judge? And I didn't even know what happened until somebody came to my office and told me what happened. And there were some people in the church and really have a judgmental attitude about themselves, and they've been members of this church for 30 years, and they quit. And they really didn't talk to me about why they quit, and they kind of led on as to why they quit. And it was one of the, okay, we'll agree to disagree, and I'm glad that you're attending somewhere else. I'm really sad things didn't work out here, especially after 30 years. About a year and a half later, they had a conversation with one of my church leaders, and they said the reason we left the church, and then they kind of preached against the church. They said, your church may survive, but it's never going to thrive. And the reason we left the church is because you hosted and threw a baby shower for a couple in the church that's not even married. That's why they left the church. And this church leader's sharing this with me, and I said, you're right. This couple's not married, and yes, they're living together, and yes, they had this baby together, but Jesus would love this baby. And Jesus would absolutely throw a baby shower and get the diapers and the wipes and the formula and all the things that this young couple needs to raise up this baby to be a healthy little boy. And I said, let's flip that coin over. Because what you need to know about the rest of that story is during that same calendar year, we had 3 other babies born. And they were born to couples who were married. And we threw baby showers for those 3. And when it came time for this unwed couple, there was no question. Not to me, not to that committee, not to the council. We were going to throw them a baby shower just like we did the other couples. And here's why. Because Jesus would have. And because if we would have judged them and not thrown them a shower, they would have quit coming to our church. And maybe they would have quit church altogether. And I'm not willing to risk that. Not with the eternity and the salvation of this young couple. I'm not willing to gamble that. And so we threw a baby shower. And that couple continues to come to church. They're here almost every Sunday, and they're raising this little baby in the church, and he and I have got to be really good friends. But yet that attitude of judgmentalness drove a family to leave the church because they would rather judge than be Jesus. And I tell you those stories because you're going to face those kind of attitudes and those kind of people in the church. And when decisions are made, like to help this young woman who's going through a divorce or to have a baby shower for an unwed couple, people are going to disagree. And you're going to have to stand firm and stand strong on the scriptures and your convictions as a Christian and as a pastor as to what Jesus would do. And you have to choose, am I going to be Jesus or am I going to be a judge? And I hope and I pray that with your eyes wide open, you always choose to be Jesus. Hey, I love you. Have a great upcoming weekend. I'll see you next time.